Gabriella regretted 1,000 times that she had agreed to live with her daughter's family, but no one really needed her consent. The consent was asked for the sake of appearances. In fact, everything had been decided behind her back without her. Her husband died suddenly, and she was left alone in a 2-room apartment. Having lived with her husband for 40 years together, it was difficult for her to accept such a loss. But no matter how hard it was, there was nothing to be done, and Gabriella slowly got used to being alone. 3 months of her lonely life passed, and a call came from her daughter, which turned her life upside down. The daughter's family rented a 2-room apartment. Gabriella and her husband helped them financially, paying half of the rent. Now left alone, the mother could not allocate this amount from her pension, and the daughter tearfully turned to her mother. "Mom, the prices of everything are going up. My and Samuel's salaries can't keep up with the prices. Our daughter Selena is growing up. Her clothes are the price of an adult, if not more expensive. The landlady has also raised the price of the apartment. Mom, I have no choice but to ask you, Mom, can we come live with you? It'll be easier to survive together, and you will not be so lonely. Samuel and I will pay for utilities." Gabriella did not expect this. She felt sorry for her daughter, of course. "Laura, how will the 4 of us fit in a 2-room apartment?" asked Gabriella, confused. "Samuel and I are in 1 room, and you and Selena are in the other." "Mom, well, there's a part of the apartment privatized to me too, and Dad's part is split in half between you and me." Gabriella was shocked, her daughter letting her know that her consent was kind of unnecessary. "Move in," Gabriella said, even though she knew that everything had been settled without her. With her daughter's family moving in, Gabriella's life became a living hell, with no one to stand up for her. Always her Charles on the defensive against her daughter and son-in-law, because their insolence was often off the charts. And now Charles is not with them. Gabriella was a calm, compliant woman, and her daughter and son-in-law immediately took advantage of this without remorse. "Mom, we don't have any money yet. Pay the utilities, I'll give you the money later," my daughter asked. No one gave any money, and the payments for utilities, as was the responsibility of Gabriella and remained, only increased many times over, as no one saved water and electricity. "Mom, you're staying home anyway. Make something to eat," my daughter confronted me. "What to cook?" "Anything from what's in the refrigerator." There was almost nothing in the refrigerator, and Gabriella told her daughter. She freaked out and said, "Mom, buy something. I'm working. By the time I get to the store after work, then by the time I cook, I don't even want to eat dinner anymore. And you're still home. You'll have time to watch your shows later." "Laura, where can I get the money? I paid for the utilities, bought medicine, and bought groceries for 2 weeks for the whole family. That's my entire pension." Laura nervously threw the money on the table and left. Once a week, such dialogues between mother and daughter were sure to happen, after which Laura resented her mother for a couple of days. These problems were nothing, but when the whole Gabriella family gathered together, she had to run away from home. There was no place for her in her house, not even in the kitchen, where her son-in-law was always sitting in his underpants, smoking and drinking coffee. Laura was in her room either watching TV or sleeping, or talking on the phone. Her granddaughter would play computer games until midnight, or her girlfriends would come over, and they would laugh for a long time, discussing their interests. While it was summer, Gabriella would often sit on the bench outside the house late into the night while the family more or less calmed down. And on weekends she would go to the cottage. "Since Charles died, you, Gabriella, rarely visit the cottage?" asked Oliver, the cottage neighbor. "Family life is booming," Gabriella said with a sad smile. "And here everything is painfully reminiscent of Charles, and there's no life at home. You know, Oliver, I often ask Charles to take me in. After he died and I have no place in my home, I'm thinking of coming to live here for good." Gabriella told a neighbor about her life with her daughter and son-in-law. "And they say sons are so ungrateful, and daughters can be worse," said Oliver sadly. "Gabriella, how can you live in a country house? It's getting toward winter. It's September in a month and a half. It'll be cool. How will you heat the house? Then again, there's no place to buy groceries. No, you've got the wrong idea. I'll buy groceries for the whole winter. Hire a neighbor on the side. He'll bring me everything. I need in 3 flights. Buy an electric fireplace, and somehow I'll survive the winter. What do you mean, Gabriella? There's not a soul here in winter. And what if I get a heart attack or something? Then I'll go to Charles, but I can't live with him anymore. The next day, Oliver invited his dacha neighbor for a visit. Gabriella, come in and see the pumpkins I've grown. You choose which one you like. I'll take it to you. Let's have some ice cream. I've got a half a freezer full of it, and I'll talk to you. What kind of talk is that, neighbor? If you're going to talk to me out of moving to the cottage, you shouldn't. I talked to you yesterday, and our conversation made me even more confident in my decision. You, Gabriella, take your time. Don't rush your answer. I'll tell you what. Come to my companionship. What is this? Wondered Gabriella. I'll tell you what. We old people don't need much, but we can help each other, because we are very aware of our loneliness. Even though you are Gabriella, you seem to have a family, but you are lonely. You have no place in their lives and no corner of your own, all occupied. I'm also single. My daughter and son don't need me, but I don't let them in on my territory because I know how it ends. Rarely is it good. Most often than not, it's like yours. Anyway, Gabriella, let's go live in my apartment for the winter. Don't get the wrong idea. We'll just live like old men, support each other. I'll go shopping to the drugstores, or we'll take a walk together. Do not think I know how to cook and clean and laundry, now washing machine, but from the food prepared by a woman's hands, would not refuse it. In general, I have such a proposal for you. Gabriella was silent and crying. Are you offended? Frightened Oliver. I'm sorry if I said anything wrong, but I can't leave you here alone. No, I'm not offended, Gabriella hurriedly reassured Oliver. What will people say about us? Who needs us to talk about us? And if they do, let them talk about us. What do we care what they think about us? Oliver reassured the elder woman. Gabriella returned to her apartment only to get her things. And where are you going? Asked Laura. I'm going to live in the dacha. Mom, you're a grown-up. You're quite adequate. No one is chasing you away from here. You made this decision yourself, and you're going to tell everyone that you went to live at the dacha because of us? Mom, we need to pay the utilities. Do you have any money? I'll give it to you later. Pay for everything yourself, especially since I don't live here. I don't even have my own place here. You've taken everything. Gabriella's cell phone rang. Oliver, I'm all packed. Gabriella answered the phone. Come up and help me, please. There's no one to help me. And the mother looked reproachfully at her daughter. Oliver rushed to the aid of his so far companion, Gabriella. He was glad that he had persuaded her to come and live with him in the city apartment, and hoped that in time they would become closer. Gabriella was getting used to Oliver, and Oliver to her companionship. Of course, at that age, it's difficult to adjust to someone. Everyone has their own habits, their own way of life. But fate brought them together, and they went towards each other. It seems so that it is impossible to change at this age, but when you want to please a man and do not want to hurt him, in something you give in and change. Especially older people had to endure a lot in their lives, to give in, and that's why everything between Oliver and Gabriella was going well. Oliver understood that it was easier for him. He was at home, but it was harder for Gabriella. She felt uncomfortable, and Oliver did everything he could to help his companion adjust. He kept repeating, Gabriella, consider yourself at home, and so take it easy. Everything will be fine. At any rate, you and I will be fine. You won't regret agreeing to be my companion. Oliver tried not to impose his company on Gabriella, and when she went to the room her master had allotted her, he did not disturb her. Let her be alone, think over everything that was happening to her. He was afraid of frightening her, afraid that she might leave, and he would become as lonely as before. Oliver decided to do his best to make Gabriella the mistress of his home, and not only his companion, but his life partner as well. To make Gabriella feel more at home, more comfortable, Oliver moved some of the furniture from his companion's apartment, and all the things that were dear to her. Gabriella was somehow more cheerful around her things. Life for the companions was getting better. A month after moving in with Oliver, Gabriella received a call from her daughter. Hi Mom, are you gone for good or are you visiting? Because the rent's coming in. You said we live here, so we're the only ones who have to pay the rent. But you're registered here too. Let's pay half of it. Gabriella never ceased to wonder what a monster her daughter had grown up to be. She did not ask where her mother lived, how her health was. All she wanted was money from her mother. Laura, well, I don't live there, and I'm not going back yet. What's the problem with me? You live there. You pay." No, Mommy, I'll only pay half. And you let your debt accumulate." "That's it then, Laura. I'll sell my half of the apartment. You as a shareholder of the apartment. As the first to have the right to buy my share. If in a month you don't decide on the purchase, I'll contact realtors to draw up separate accounts and sell my share. Does that make sense to you now?" "Mom, you can't do this to us." "Okay, Samuel, but me and Selena, we're your kin." "You bring up kin shit when it benefits you. Why haven't you called once in a month to find out where I am? What's wrong with me?" "No, Laura, it will be just as I said." "Mom, but I'm not claiming my part of the dacha yet, and there's my share too." "Don't compare. The dacha is worthless compared to the apartment. I have the money to buy out your share of the dacha, and you take care of buying out your share of the apartment. There's nothing else to talk about. I look forward to hearing from you in a month." After this conversation, Gabriella was shaking. Oliver dosed her with sedative drops and soothed her as best he could. "Gabriella, don't be so heartbroken. It's beyond our years. You know what? Drink these drops, lie down for half an hour, and I'll invite you to a cafe. It's not far from our house. We'll have some cognac or champagne, whatever the lady wants. We'll have some ice cream. We have not yet celebrated our new titles of companionships. What's there to lie down and worry about? I'm sure that a trip to the cafe will do us good." Gabriella smiled sadly at her companion and decided to spend the half hour that Oliver had allotted her for rest on grooming her appearance. "Gabriella, you're beautiful," Oliver exclaimed as the dressed-up companion came out of her room. "I've always seen you in country clothes, and then you were a beauty. But now I'm just shy in front of you." Just as Oliver and Gabriella stepped out of the entryway, Oliver's phone rang. "Dad, hi, I'm coming up to your house. Are you home? I brought you some groceries, and Sandra made some cabbage pies for you," my son told him. No sooner had Oliver finished talking than a car pulled up to the driveway and Tommy got out. "Oh, hello, Gabriella. Where are you all dressed up?" asked Tommy cheerfully. "We're going to the cafe," asked the father, "to celebrate living together. Gabriella and I are companions now, and we live together." Tommy's eyes widened and Gabriella blushed and added quietly, "That's the way it is, Tommy." "No, I'm certainly surprised. But why don't we go back to the apartment and talk there?" suggested Tommy. "About what?" my father asked. "I think I made it clear. And we're not going back. We're going to sit in a cafe. You've got the keys to the apartment. You can go in and put the groceries in. Tommy, we're out for a walk for once, so you take care of it. We don't want to come back tonight, so don't keep us late." Gabriella and Oliver left, and Tommy, stunned by the news, stared after his father for a long time. He went up to his father's apartment, put the groceries in the refrigerator, walked around the room, and realized that Gabriella really did live with his father. "I'm shocked, of course," Tommy said to himself. He dialed his sister's phone number and shouted into the receiver, "Hey sister, how's it going? Do you like living in the dorm?" "And who likes living in them?" "I have to, but there are no other options," answered the nurse. "Listen, Tommy, why are you calling? Is there something urgent? Hurry up, I don't have time. I'm on the floor today. I'm cleaning." "Daddy has a companion who lives with him. The neighbor from her summer house, Gabriella, remember her? He wouldn't let you live with him, but he let someone else's aunt live with him." Sister was quiet and then she started screaming. "Did you call to gloat, or do you want to use my hands to kick Gabriella out of my father's apartment? You know what, I'll tell you, let them live. My father has lived alone for over 10 years. At least let him have one happy last life. You think loneliness is freedom? Loneliness is loneliness. I know it myself. You have a family. You don't understand. What about the dorm? I put it up for sale. I want to buy an apartment with a mortgage. I'm even grateful my father didn't let me live with him. I wouldn't want to have my own place, but now I'll soon have my own apartment, and I don't depend on anyone. And you, brother, what are you so worried about? Don't you have a place to live?" "Why are you attacking me, sister?" said Tommy. "I just called you to keep you in the loop and not be as dumbfounded as I am. And I'm happy for Dad, so take it easy, brother. You'll be healthier. Bye." The elderly couple sat in a cozy cafe and enjoyed the quiet music and each other's company. "Oliver, how ashamed I am in front of your children. They will think God knows what," Gabriella worried. "Why? I don't mind. Let them think, and maybe they will think rightly." After drinking 100 grams of brandy, Oliver became bold. "You're here with me, Gabriella, so don't be afraid of anyone or anything. My house is mine, and it's your fortress too. I won't hurt you myself, and I won't let others hurt you." After celebrating their companionship, Gabriella and Oliver returned after dark. They were so warm and happy together that they sat in the kitchen for a long time with a cup of tea, telling each other the good news, and Oliver did not hold back and kissed Gabriella on the cheek. She pulled away. Oliver was confused and began to apologize, promising that it would never happen again. He didn't want Gabriella to think that she owed him her living in his apartment. "It's all right, Oliver, don't apologize," the companion said. "I just wasn't expecting it, so I reacted that way, and I feel really good and calm with you. When you're close to me like this, I feel like I can handle anything, that I can handle my problems. And even though we are old and weak, I feel your strength, your protection. When Charles died, I was confused. I had always been truly married, that is, to my husband. He always dealt with the tough issues, and I was with him. Just a woman, just a wife. That's why my daughter did this to me. She's young and strong, and I'm weak. I could not resist their impudence." Gabriella hugged Oliver and whispered, "Thank you, Oliver." 2 days later, Gabriella got a call from her daughter. "Hi, Mom. How are you feeling?" "Why all of a sudden are you so affectionate to me?" the mother wondered. "Mom, what are you starting? I don't ask about your health. Bad. I ask some suspicions. Mom, come on. You will live alone in your room. Selena will put a couch in the kitchen. She'll be there. Everyone agrees to such a settlement. What do you say, Mom? Come on already. Come back. I remember life with you like a bad dream, and I'm afraid to be in that dream again. Mom, we're family. Are we going to be enemies? I can't tell you anything yet. I'll think about it." Oliver, as soon as he heard about his daughter wanting to bring her mother home, got worried. "Gabriella, do you want to leave me?" asked Oliver in a trembling voice. "Oliver, why should I wander around in other people's apartments? My daughter is there after all, my granddaughter. Even though they hurt me, but they're my own, and I feel sorry for them." As they say, a mother's heart is deceiving. Today she's angry and does not want to forgive, but tomorrow she has already forgiven everything. "Gabriella, we are not strangers. We have known each other for years. I thought it would be too soon to tell you. I wanted to wait, but since events have turned out differently, what's the point in waiting? I'll tell you. Gabriella, don't leave me." Tears came to Oliver's eyes. "Marry me." Oliver hugged Gabriella and cried. He didn't want to cry. He was afraid of appearing weak in Gabriella's eyes. But the tears flowed by themselves. "I want to be with you, Gabriella," Oliver said through his tears. "Why don't you say something? Say something." Gabriella saw how worried Oliver was. She felt so sorry for him, and she cried too. "Well, are you, Oliver? Where will I go from you? I understand that we need each other. The kids have their lives. We have ours. If you want, let's register, but don't worry so much. You said yourself, it's not our age to worry. I want everything to be according to the law, so that if anything happens to me, no one will kick you out of here and share my apartment while you're living in it. I've already found out there's a law, and you can draw up papers so that no one will ever kick you out of here until the very end. I'm sorry to say this, but this is life, and it too has an end." "Take your time, Oliver. No one is chasing us," Gabriella smiled through her tears. "How can there be no one chasing us? Laura, your daughter is chasing, trying to get you back. Once again, I ask you, let's legalize our relationship and live as husband and wife, and no one will say a word to us." Oliver worried. "What about without love, Oliver?" "It's not clear without words, Gabriella. Well, if words are necessary, I love you and respect you very much. You are a real woman, soft, kind, and I want to prove my feelings to you by deeds, not words. Maybe I disgust you. Then of course." "What are you saying, Oliver? I agree. I'm not afraid of anything with you. But what about Laura and the apartment? I can't figure it out. And I feel sorry for them. And I want them to feel something and achieve something in their lives instead of living off the shelf." Oliver and Gabriella discussed a plan of action to manipulate Gabriella's apartment, but her husband to be insisted on leaving the apartment to his daughter, which Gabriella disagreed with. She thought that if you give in once, they will sit on your head. She had already had that experience, but she didn't want to remain enemies with her own family either. It was hard to consider her daughter an enemy. The next day, Gabriella and Oliver invited Laura to their house for negotiations. Laura showed up on time, all wary and tense, knowing that if she was invited, it meant a serious conversation was going to take place. "It's nice here, cozy," Laura said, as she looked back around the house folks' dwelling. "My mom, will you come back? Although I understand that you're better off here." Gabriella gave her daughter a treat and in the meantime was making conversation. "Now, Laura, listen to me. Because this will be my last word, there will be no other plans. Laura was wary. She did not recognize her mother. So commanding, so confident, she had not known her. Let's do this, Gabriella continued. You and I sell the apartment and buy a one-room apartment in your name, where you will live. The difference from the sale of the apartment belongs to me. You write a renunciation of your share of the dacha and we'll part peacefully, and then you can expand on your own if you want. I hope you understand that in terms of money, I remain in the loser. And where will you live? Asked Laura, dumbfounded by her mother's speech. Wow, you even asked. I'm getting married to Oliver, so I'm going to live with him. Then why sell the apartment if you're going to live here? Because I'm entitled to my own square footage too, and I'm not going to pay for my part of the apartment because I'm not going to live there. That's all, the mother answered angrily. I'm already giving in to you, to my detriment, and you're dictating what I'm going to do? You don't like this plan? Then by the end of the month you don't want to buy my place from me. I'll put my part of the apartment up for sale. No, Mama. I'll settle for a one-room apartment. What are you going to do with the money you have left over from selling the apartment? It has to be invested or it'll be worthless. Laura, do I have to answer you? I've gone along with you anyway. Mom, I was just asking. I'll buy a dorm room. I have some savings. Why? Wondered Laura. For that, just in case. Mom, if you get married, your husband will also have the right to this room. Maybe you could register that dorm room for your granddaughter. Gabriella never ceased to be amazed at her daughter's insolence. Isn't it too much for you? Laura, I want to be nice to you, but you're trying to kill all aspirations for good things with your impudence and mercantilism. Just something in the plans and you're already turning me inside out. That's it, Mom. I'm glad we're getting along so well. It's a relief. I'm going. Samuel's waiting for me outside. Forgive us, Mother. I forgave you a long time ago. We're not strangers. I'm really sorry to you, and this life is hard, and being without money makes us angry. And I think, my daughter, that being angry doesn't depend on being broke. Your father and I have missed you somewhere. You are the only one we have, spoiled, and so spoiled on my head. Don't make the same mistake I did with my daughter. I'm sorry, said Laura more sincerely, kissed her mother and left. Well, thank God you've made peace with Laura too, said Oliver. You have no idea how glad I am. It's so unsettling to have your own daughter as an enemy. Thank you for your support. Oh, come on, Gabriella. What gratitude between spouses. Soon we will be, and I already consider you my wife.